I didn't get the. I just didn't get his team selection. I just don't. I think he's a good manager.
Yes.
I actually don't know what to think at the moment with this club.
And so, how can a manager who's done so well in the past come up so short in these sort of games?
Because I think he's gone in. He doesn't know his squad. He doesn't know what's going to be the best thing that works for him. He wants to play Reece James. Obviously, he's one of the best in the business. He's injured. Chilwell's out. He probably thinks he's got to worry about Thiago. His best player, 38. Thiago Silva. So he's searching. He's another one who is searching. And look, again, he's lumbered with the likes of Aubameyang. City were happy to sell Chelsea, Raheem Sterling. Let's be honest about it. Kai Havertz is a liability. Can't get you goals. Doesn't really work that hard.
Yep.
Werner's already gone back to Germany.
Pulisic's got injuries.
Pulisic can't last 90 minutes. He gets kicked every game. He goes off. Ziyech is a bit of a lightweight. He's a skillful player. We thought, World Cup, he'll come back in and great. Potter knew this. He knew that, Pulisic come back from the World Cup, he'll get injured. He knew Ziyech would come back and there would be flashes and he's a lightweight. So he's got all these problems to deal with. And then he has to turn to Aubameyang, who, as I say, was signed by Tuchel, who Bowley was about to sack. And then at the start of the season, when Potter comes in, he's got to listen to the consortium talking. This is a bugbear of mine, talking about all-star games. Worry about the business. Worry about what you're putting on the field. What you're putting on the field is the business. Mid-table is not where Chelsea strive to be. Getting battered by other elite clubs in the Premier League and the FA Cup is not where Chelsea strive to be. Putting out youngsters to be mauled at the hands of players like Mahrez and others at Man City is not where they should be. It's mind-boggling. I actually am intrigued now. I am really intrigued by what Potter, the ownership, and this club does over the next 4 weeks. I'm intrigued because I think we're going to learn a lot about them.
Frank, we of course heard the Chelsea supporters chanting Thomas Tuchel's name in the second half there. With hindsight, was it a mistake to let him go when they did?
The thing is, you can chant Thomas Tuchel, but don't forget that all the players that Craig just mentioned have been bought under him. And you could question the recruitment department at Chelsea for years now. If you compare for what you see at Arsenal, for example, we came back from hell, I have to say, but back within like 3 years with Arteta, with a good selection of players that they wanted to buy. City, what they do every time, you have a result of a bad recruitment. So it's nice to chant Thomas Tuchel, but the way that at the end Thomas Tuchel was playing was also boring, where we didn't get anything. It was all about possession. But it's like Graham Potter. It's why he's being criticized. It didn't change. Maybe he couldn't, but it didn't change anything. Today, the first half, we saw Kepa getting the ball for the 6 yards kick and trying to play in the 16-yard box like you want to get the possession of the ball. You know that at some point it's going to go bad and you're going to lose the ball. And you are in front of your TV, you say, what the hell is going on right now? What they are trying to do against Manchester City? You don't know City at all? You're not scared of them? What's wrong with you? I swear, give me the team. I will choose warriors. I'm not going to choose talent because talent is on top of the spirit that you have to have. But it's not talent first and play well first and then maybe run and maybe get the spirit. No, it doesn't work. Football never worked like that. Italians were experts of that, where they try to defend well first before getting the talent on top of it. But right now, we see nothing. And we saw nothing for like almost a year with Tuchel. So it's nice to sing Tuchel, but that's not the result that you have to have. You have to find somebody who can bring something different to Chelsea, a more vertical game, more spiritual game, where it's like the players are never in danger. And when a player is not in danger because of the competition, because of the pressure that the fans or the club can make on them, they feel easy. They feel comfortable. And that's not a life of a football player.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dan. What a brilliant job in selling our FA Cup rights. But we love it. We love the FA Cup. The magic of it, indeed. But the magic, Augie, let's go to you first on this one. Definitely did not follow Chelsea. Jules said it was embarrassing. We've heard the words pathetic, shambolic, pretty much everything. Is that exactly how you saw it?
Yeah, they were awful. Right from the start, you looked at the City team sheet. No Erling Haaland, no Kevin De Bruyne. If you're Chelsea, you're thinking this is a real chance, you know. And they just blew it. I mean, from the start. I mean, I know it took 25 minutes for City to score, but you felt even before that Chelsea weren't at it. And I didn't know this until during the game, but Chelsea hadn't lost in the third round since 1998. They're a club that expects to win the FA Cup and does well. And they were just torn apart by City. And if I was Graham Potter, I'd be really worried. And I know the owners have said that, you know, he's there for the long term. You can't survive the long term if you're losing like that.
Jules?
Yeah, we said it was embarrassing. The second half was slightly better, but it could not be as bad as the first half anyway. And City kind of stopped playing, even if they scored a fourth one. It's just, I think Potter's choices were wrong at the start of the game. I think the tactic was wrong as well. And in the end, there was no fighting. There was just nothing in that performance. And I think this is where I'm the most worried, because you can lose against a better team. It happened to them in the league against City on Thursday at Stamford Bridge. It's okay, you lose to a better team. But today, there just was nothing in there for Chelsea. And if you were Chelsea fans, you have to be worried.
How much trouble do you think Graham Potter is in right now, Augie, after we see this? Because we do understand that it is new ownership as well, so they may not rule with iron fist that we have seen in the past. But again, many are believing that based on his tactics, it shows that he's just out of his depth.
Well, the big concern with the fans chanting for Thomas Tuchel. In the second half, they're chanting Thomas Tuchel's name. And that, if you're the manager, that is a worry. But you know, I don't really want to say this, but I feel I have to say it because I believe it. This is reminding me of Man United and David Moyes. The coach is out of his depth. The players don't seem to be buying into it. The step is too big. From Brighton to Chelsea, it's too big. As it was for David Moyes from Everton to Man United. Potter's making the same mistakes. He's brought his whole backroom staff from Brighton, as Moyes did with Everton at United. The players are looking around that dressing room. You know, Thiago Silva, you've got Raheem Sterling, you've got World Cup winners, you've got European Champions League winners. And they're looking at these guys thinking, how are you going to make me better? And they're not making them better. They're making them worse. Now, I do feel sorry for Potter in the sense that he's been given a lot of players that Chelsea paid over the odds for. They're not good enough. I mean, Mark Cucurella, they paid way over the odds for him. But he's one of the players he had at Brighton, to be fair. He's just got a squad of players that doesn't fit, and he's a coach that hasn't got the big-time credentials that will motivate the dressing room. So, for me, it's David Moyes all over again. I think it'll end the same way.
Well, Jules, you're in the interview room with me as well when I was speaking to him. And as he said, it's some will want to give him a break because of the injury list and the fact that we are in the January transfer window. And I did ask him about that, and he said, look, this is just a position that I couldn't even plan for, you know. So how much slack do you cut him there?
I mean, I didn't like his pre-match press conference, I have to say, when he talked about Klopp and Guardiola not winning anything in his first year. I mean, they were not 10th in the table, closer to the bottom than to the top of the Premier League, for example. They were not out of all competition apart from the Champions League in a game against Milan, in a tie against Milan. Now, by the way, that looks very, very tricky for Chelsea suddenly. And you can't almost like compare yourself with Klopp and with Guardiola and even with Arteta to a certain extent. And he has to stop finding excuses. They're not good enough. He's not doing a good job right now. That doesn't mean that he will be sacked. But right now, they are a bad team and he's a bad manager and they can't win a single game, whatever the competition. So the game against Fulham on Thursday is massive. If they lose again, I mean, I don't know what can happen.
If they lose at Fulham, I think is it Liverpool away after that?
Yeah.
Which is massive because, you know, Liverpool, for me, they're challenging Newcastle for fourth spot. I think United, Arsenal and City will top three. So you've got Liverpool, maybe Newcastle. And if Chelsea want to get into that top four, and it's looking really, really grim, they have to win at Anfield. And, you know, you can't see them winning anywhere at the moment.
That's true, exactly. And I mean, just to that point then, Augie, because I think if you only have to look on social media and just see all of the Chelsea fans hoping, praying, crossing all fingers that a certain Enzo Fernandez, a World Cup winner, could come and maybe at least help them somewhat. But on that, what much more do they need and what much more can Potter do, at least in this January transfer window, to salvage that growing injury list?
If I was Enzo Fernandez, I'd be telling his agent to say, just keep Chelsea, just don't answer the phone because like you can get a better club than Chelsea right now.
Yeah.
You know, Chelsea are 10th in the Premier League or 9th or 10th. Like Jules said last season, FA Cup finalists, Carabao Cup finalists, Champions League qualifiers, a proper big team. Now they're nowhere near. They're not going to be in the Champions League next season unless they win it, which they won't. So why would Enzo Fernandez go to Chelsea? Why would Mikhailo Mudryk go to Chelsea? That is Chelsea's problem right now, that as soon as you're out of that big pitch, the big four, players don't want to sign for you. Now, they do have the draw of being Chelsea, it's London, but it doesn't matter if you're playing in the Conference League or not even in that. So it's a massive few weeks ahead for Chelsea, and there's so much inexperience at all levels. The manager, the owner, the people that the owner's brought in. I just don't know where Chelsea go apart from, in a tailspin.
Jules, do you think that's pretty much the case now? Chelsea have been set back in terms of appealing or trying to convince big players to come to them now in this period.
Yeah, and also if you're manager, if you're an agent or a player following what's happening at Chelsea, you might sign for Graham Potter, but he might not be there in 2 months.
Yeah.
Or even before that. So why would you almost take a gamble and come to Chelsea when you don't even know what's going to happen in the next 6 months, because half of the squad can change, the manager can change again. At least we know the owners are there because they've just bought the club. But it's so, the instability at that club, or the uncertainty about the future is so big that I'm not sure why Enzo or anybody else would fancy going there.
Chelsea's problem now is that the only players that have got to Chelsea are the ones whose agents or the players want to make a lot of money, because Chelsea pay big wages, and that's the problem. They're going to get players who are coming in who know they're not going to be in the Champions League, but Chelsea play massive wages, and that is the worst kind of player you can get.
Guys.
All right, Dan, what are you?